her response easy and light. As it ought to be. She'd been saying the same damn thing for a decade and a half. The group of men around Mr. Schiller hooted in pleasure, and then mercifully turned back to the drama on the dance floor. It didn't matter, she reminded herself. Not entirely sure what it was, but if it wasn't about the Hotel Wallner's triumphant return to society, yes, it was capitalized, yes, Maria did have a list with that title, then it didn't matter. The caviar was low. She pulled one of the footmen aside and sent him running to the kitchen, catching a glimpse of her parents just in time to see Heinrich tenderly brush a curl from her mother's face. The crowd gave a pleased murmur. The story would be all over Vienna by supper the next day. And that, Maria reminded herself, was what did matter. This was one of the scandals of the season, and the guests of the Hotel Wallner's New Year's Eve ball had been the ones to witness it. Tomorrow, once they'd recovered from their traditional New Year's Day hangovers, they would go to supper with friends and say, "Oh, you should have been at the Hotel Wallner last night." Just like the old days, when the Hotel Wallner had been one of the epicenters of Imperial Vienna, its nights filled with scandal and intrigue and importance. And this moment did look like something plucked from Maria's childhood memories. The newly cleaned and repaired chandelier dazzled. The freshly sanded and polished floors looked almost liquid, as if Elisabeth and Heinrich were dancing on a vast champagne sea beneath a starry sky. Maria was particularly proud of the starry skies. She'd repainted every single gold star herself, balancing on a rickety scaffold beneath the 15-foot ceilings until her back felt like it would break. Perhaps she was deluding herself. It would take more than a single party to bring the Hotel Wallner back from irrelevance and disrepair, but she thought something like the old, magical, golden wonderment shimmered in the air. She'd do anything to give the hotel that magic back. Suffering some embarrassment and discomfort over her parents' behavior was nothing. "I tried to stop him," said a soft, cultured voice over her shoulder, and Maria's smile warmed as she turned to her half-brother, Macario von Ada. Mac was the picture of a dashing young aristocrat tonight, Maria thought, as she brushed a speck of lint from his immaculately tailored evening suit. There was little resemblance between the siblings. Both took after their mothers, Maria with dark eyes and darker hair, and Mac golden-haired and blue-eyed, but a great deal of fondness. Maria shrugged. "They're impossible to stop." He grimaced, his eyebrows drawn together in distress. "My mother's about to murder someone, or have an apoplexy." Maria waved to the hotel's resident clairvoyants, Madame Leblanc and Frau Heilig, as they walked past, and glanced across the room at Mac's mother. To the ordinary observer, she was entirely unbothered. But Maria had been looking at this woman for the better part of 30 years, despite never actually speaking to her, and she winced in sympathy. "Can you convince her to leave?" "Tried," Mac said. "But Count von Kofstein is here, and she's afraid." Mac broke off, sighing and rubbing his forehead. The crowd around them had noticed them talking and were openly staring. "Put your hand down," Maria said with a bright smile. "We are being watched." He laughed as though she'd said something funny, immediately smoothing his expression. "Count von Kofstein won't care about any of this," Maria said. "I've known him since I was in the cradle." "The Count von Kofstein you know and the Count von Kofstein my mother knows are very different people," Mac said through his own charming smile. Maria opened her mouth to argue, but just then a server spilled a tray of champagne at the other side of the room. "I have to—" Go," her brother gestured. "And Maria, it's a beautiful ball." She squeezed his hand and hurried across the room.